Hey everybody, this is James from TeaDB bringing you another Inbetweenisode. So today I am going to be reviewing a ripe tea, another ripe tea, and this one is the Red Sunset. It's a cake produced by Vesper Chan. So I actually, with another blogger, Oolong Owl, who you should definitely check out, I split a pair of cakes. So this is my cake. I am, think a little bit over halfway through it. The cakes are small, 200 gram ones. They are 400 gram cakes. They were made by Vesper Chan, who is famous, has a famous tea house over there in Hong Kong, called Best Tea House, which is, it's a very famous tea house, and he's not exactly known for having cheap tea, that is for sure, but he does have some higher quality teas. This is a Oolong Mountain ripe Pu'erh that he made. I think the material is from 2013, 2014, and he pressed it in 2016. So the cakes sell for $75 for a pair of two, for 200 grams. So that comes out to about 19 cents per gram. So those of you that are familiar with ripe pu'erh and drink it regularly know that that's on the higher end of ripe pu'erh. That would come out to about $70 for a 357 gram cake. So that's definitely on the higher end, for this category of tea. In more absolute terms, it's really not outrageously expensive. An 8 gram session like I'm doing right here would be about $1.60, something like that. So, expensive for the category, not necessarily absolutely very expensive compared to Taiwanese oolong or raw pu'erh or anything like that. This is a tea I was brewing earlier this morning. I'm using a bigger pot. I think I'm using about 8.5-9 grams here for 250 milliliters. That is lower than my raw ratio, but very typical for me for ripe, where I tend to use a bigger pot and a slightly lower ratio. So steep number 4 or 5 ish right here. Sort of a dark ruby red color in the chahai. Cheers, guys. It's very thick. I'm getting some cocoa notes here. Thick, oily. This is definitely some of the thicker brews I've had of this. This tea is very smooth. It crosses me more on the elegant end of ripe pu'erh as opposed to more of like a brawler of a tea. It's like something like the lumber slut. I would put more in that other category. It's got like a mouthfeel. It's kind of syrupy. It's got good textures going on. Got a little bit of that sort of cherry wood sweetness that Denny likes to look at in the ripe pu'erh. I'm sort of coating the mouth right now. Good depth too for the ripe pu'erh. I'm definitely enjoying it. So gonna keep going on this. So this is the next steep. Ripe pu'erh also tends to be one where I will not be super anal about like making sure I have one brew here. I'll stack infusions, stuff like that. It's just more of a casual brew for me. Even for a little bit of a higher end tea like this, maybe I'll brew it with Garrett or Denny or someone like that for a more concentrated session. But probably more often than not, I'm brewing these teas in the morning with my wife, which is probably why I've gone through this so quickly, as just like a drink to have after breakfast or something like that, some caffeine. It's very smooth. It's very easy to drink. So this tea definitely fits in as a ripe pu'erh. It doesn't stand way out in the category or anything like that, but I think it's actually quite a good quality ripe pu'erh. this brew's even stronger. I think this is actually kind of interesting to me because a lot of times when I bring on right pu'erh here for these in-between-sodes, and I'm on sort of the same evolution of taste here, those teas are already starting to die down a little bit. I'll need to hit it a little bit harder. This tea has not. So I think the longevity is going to be pretty good. That aspect of the tea is impressing me right now as well. Let's take a smell of these leaves. Can't say the smell is super remarkable. Sort of your standard sweet, woody, cherry, right pu'erh aromas coming from it. I just want to say there's some lotus or floral things going on in this tea. Another thing, I was just looking at Linda's description over at Bana tea, who actually sells this tea. Description is that she notes that it uses a lot of grade 2 or 3 leaves. That's the grade of leaves here. They'll usually grade teas from 0 to 9. That's not a measure of quality necessarily, but more of just leaf size. So 2 to 3 would be on the smaller end of things, and it certainly looks like that. That also means that assuming that you're not brewing one huge chunk, you're going to get the flavor out a little bit quicker because you just have more surface area over those leaves. So I do find that this tea does come out pretty quickly. And I definitely enjoy this tea. I think my own personal preferences towards right pu'erh tends to go more towards that sort of I don't even know how to describe it. I want to call it just more rugged sense of tea, stuff like the lumber slut, or maybe some of your Hong Kong traditional stored right pu'erhs, some of which I picked up during my travels. I tend to like those a little bit more. I think there's definitely a place for sort of the elegance and appreciating the quality of a tea like this. So I'm not going to downgrade this tea as a result. Grading this in the context of right pu'erh, I think it's right up there with that Yunnan sourcing tea from Oolong Owl that I brought on a couple episodes ago. I'm going to give this a 7.2. Keeping in mind that this is in the category of right pu'erh. So I'm not comparing this, for instance, against the YQH Jincha from that I'm going to be bringing on to an in-between-isode very soon. Got these Pu'erbs coming. This is being compared to other right pu'erh, so other teas within its own genre. I think it really is a pretty good, high-quality tea. It's probably not one that I'm going to rebuy, if I'm being honest. I think I will enjoy what I have left and probably just move on to another right pu'erh. The right pu'erhs that I've actually stocked up on is a grand total of 0. So in that sense, this tea is no different than any other right pu'erh that I've had, where I've just tended to drink through a cake and move on to something else. I recommend checking this tea out if you are interested in more sort of premium right pu'erh. It's not a great value if that's what you're into, but it is a good tea in my opinion. I'm noticing that it's coating the rest of my mouth, and I'll probably enjoy drinking this after lunch with my wife. So thank you all for tuning in, and let me know how you like this episode, if you like this format, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.